Hi, my name is Jake Balke, and this is our new video podcast at Page High School, The Captain's Chair, where we interview student and staff members about their experiences at Page and things coming up. We got a lot of new projects coming for you guys, including interviews with counselors, student body president, coaches, and more. Welcome to The Captain's Chair.
All right, welcome to Page High School's new video podcast, The Captain's Chair. Today we have Coach Hann. He's sitting in the Captain's Chair. How you doing, Coach?
I'm all right. How you doing, Jake?
I'm good. So we just wanted to ask you some questions about the football team and what's coming up. So how long you been coaching? How did you start? How did you get into this?
Well, I got into it in 2014. I started volunteering because I was a player and I was trying to get into the NFL, but it didn't work out how I wanted to. So I wanted to find my next, outlook on life and what's my next step. So I started volunteering, coaching at Andrews High School, and realized this is what I wanted to do for the next 20 years or so. So I've been doing it since 2014. I became a head coach last year. Was my first season being a head coach. I was a JV head coach for about 4 years out of my total of 9 years coaching. And 1 year head coach now, going on my second year. And I was a coordinator for 3 years too as well. 1 year at Andrews and 2 years here at Page. Mm-hmm.
What do you got planned for the future?
Oh man, we got a great season ahead of us. We got a lot of returning football players coming back that were young last season, so we're looking forward to them guys coming back next year. And we had a great JV group last year that went 9-1, so kind of combining those two things together, we're looking for a good season for next year.
Yeah, so how are you preparing these younger guys? I know it's a younger team, but how are you preparing them for varsity next year?
Oh man, that weight room. It starts in the weight room. We've been getting after it in the weight room. Those guys also do other things off season, like 7-on-7 and a lot of training around, on the off season. So we're doing that too as well. And then we got a lot of guys in other sports too as well. Yeah. But we also working on our coaching staff too as well. Got some new additions for next year, so we're going to be pretty good. We're very excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
How do you help, recently there's been a lot of talk about how Page is going to be good in the next few years. I've seen a lot of stuff on Instagram, top players from Page. How do you make sure they're focusing on the right things, out there on the field, not on social media?
You got to stay on them, just kind of stay getting after them every day, keep reminding them what's the goal, and learning how to separate themselves from, the others, because when you're trying to go big time D1, everybody can't go big time D1, so you just can't be around here doing the same things that everybody else is doing. So just kind of reminding them of those things.
So how do you keep them academic minded? It's hard to be an athlete and get your schoolwork done. So what's kind of the, if they ask, how am I supposed to stay balanced, what's the thing that you tell them?
Fortunately, we have a good group of kids that's doing a good thing in school, and we have a very high GPA right now as a group. But you do have some guys who struggle with school, so we just kind of give them more attention than most, and just kind of focusing on their grades and doing grade checks with them too as well, like weekly. And the good thing is we got a lot of guys that are taking a lot of honors classes, so our overall GPA of our team is pretty good right now. So we're pretty good shape with kids doing their work and not in the halls and cutting up and not eligible.
What would you say your main thing you want to improve on from last year? The JV lost one game, but as far as performance or whatever it is, what's the one thing? The
main thing I want to improve on is coaching, being better as a coach, and having my staff to be better as a staff, because it was obviously my first year last year, and so you want to learn some things from your first year and don't make the same mistake twice. So my biggest goal for next year is just being better as a staff schematically, and being able to compete with the top tier teams.
Awesome. All right, that's all I got for you.
Hi, my name is Sophie Wilkerson, and I'm here with
Scott Pastorick,
CTE teacher and softball coach. Okay, Mr. Pastorick, I'm going to ask you a couple questions about expectations over the season, questions about softball, and how you balance academic life with athletic life with your students. So what are your expectations for the season?
Expectations for the season is, again, just improving each and every day. So that's what I kind of preach to the athletes is we're going to make mistakes. It's part of athletics. Professionals make them. The goal is what mistakes we make today, we don't make tomorrow.
And how will you help them not make those mistakes again? Like, what will you do to enforce not to make the same mistakes?
Just practice. Practice. If I notice that a particular player is struggling with one aspect of it, we hone in on that aspect during practice to help build that skill up.
Okay, that's good. What are your goals for this softball season?
The goals is to get into the playoffs this year. We have a really young team, so there's a lot of development that's got to go on this year. So that's going to be an aspect that's challenging.
Just
with
putting
the growth.
in more work with the kids and
Putting in a lot more work. And of course, with softball season being a spring sport, it's always a challenge fighting the weather.
It's always hot, rainy, cold.
The rainy, if it rains so much, we can't get on the field to practice. We have to make alternate plans and stuff like that. We focus on more the fundamentals and the mental aspect of the game, knowing what to do in different scenarios. So this kind of ways that we combat the weather. So we make decisions and improvise on the fly as the weather changes each and every day. So we just try to make the most out of each and every day. Try to get better and better each day.
And you said your goal is to get to playoffs. What's the furthest you guys have been conference-wise? Like, what's you guys' record so far?
Right now, our first game is this coming Tuesday. So next week, we have 3 games. They're all away. We start off with Southwest Guilford, and then we go from there. That will be Tuesday. We have a game on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on Friday.
So how did you get into coaching? Like, what made you want to become a softball coach?
Well, I did coach at the collegiate level, and when I come here to be a teacher, my expectations weren't to get into coaching. That wasn't the goal. But coming in last year, seeing that the team did not have a coach, it got very close to the beginning of the season. And me, just as a prior athlete myself, I could not anticipate the team going without a coach, because without a coach, of course, you wouldn't have a team. That's just something I was not willing to let happen with me having that experience.
What do you say makes the team? Like, what aspects do you think make a team a good team?
Communication and teamwork, being a team, supporting each other, being there for one another through the ups and downs. You know, one of the biggest things is when you're out there in a game situation, you make that mistake. It's very tough as an athlete. And when that happens, you need your teammates to kind of boost you up, pick you up, let you know, hey, you got this. You get it the next play. That's another thing that I kind of preach. We can only dictate what is about to happen. The play that just happened, if you made a mistake on it, let it go. Let's focus on this play right here.
Well, that's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for being part of the Pirates Chair, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sophie Wilkerson, and I'm here with
Athletic Director Gordon Hagen.
And this is the Captain's Chair. So I'm going to interview you, have you answer a couple of questions about expectations, goals, and what you have in mind for the athletic department this year. First question is, how do you ensure the safety of students, including their health, their physical well-being, and their academic well-being?
So that's a very good question, but very multi-part question. The first part of that is all coaches through the North Carolina High School Athletic Association have to have certain certifications, CPR, they have to do concussion trainings, they have to do all these different verifications so that they are at least minimally prepared to handle, a situation when it arises. But then we also have, thankfully, through Murphy Weiner Orthopedics, we have a full-time athletic trainer who is here. That's Lindsay Braddock. She serves all of our sports teams, and then she always has an abundance of student athletic trainers that are supplied by UNCG, NCA&T. So we have, thankfully, a very good sports medicine program, and she has sports medicine athletes that also help out during all the different sports seasons as well. So.
Another question I have for you regarding sports and athletics, how do you make sure that all of the sports kids are being in check with their academics?
So again, very good question, multi-part. The first line is always the coaches. So we have, thankfully, a good number of on-campus coaches that are teachers in the building or, behavior support in the building and things like that, that they have access to those students' grades in the school. And then we also do an athletic grade check for all of our sports teams where they fill out for at least a 2-week period athletic weekly checks where they'll take paper around to all their teachers, get it signed so that we can monitor progress. Students who are in line with their progress, they after a 2-week period can come off of that grade check if they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing. Students who are not in line with their progress and not doing what they need to be doing in terms of the classroom or attendance or anything like that, we actually mandate them to go to tutoring and multiple other things so that we try to provide that support and get kids to understand that athletics is a privilege that comes along with being a good student in your academic piece.
What are your expectations and goals for the upcoming sports seasons and the ones to follow?
Well, first and foremost, my biggest expectation is that all of our sports teams, all of our coaches, all of our athletes represent Page in a positive way. Not that everything is always good and games don't always go the way we want them to, plays don't always happen the way we want them to, but the expectation is that our athletes respond in the appropriate manner and that they do things in accordance with what we want Page to look like. Beyond that, then it's just a matter of, continually talking to the coaches, continually talking to athletes, making sure they understand what those expectations are, and then obviously upholding those expectations when they don't meet them in certain circumstances.
And how do you plan to enforce them to meet those circumstances?
So, prime example, we had a situation in our men's soccer team. Students were handled not only through their athletic program, but they were handled through school behavior enforcement as well. So we make sure that all of our athletes are held to as high of a standard as we can, and making sure that they understand what those expectations are going to be so that if they decide they want to be an athlete, they know beforehand and they know those expectations and can uphold them.
How did you come up with being able to be the athletic director? Because I knew you were a math teacher here before, and then one year I came and you were the athletic director. So how did that opportunity come by?
So my educational journey has been a long process. You're absolutely right. I did start as a math teacher, was a math teacher for 15 years. Just recently took over as the athletic director 2 years ago now, going into my 3rd year this spring sports season actually. And it really was just a matter of, as a young coach, I coached football, I coached baseball, I helped out with wrestling some, taught math the whole time through, and got to a point in my career where I wanted to do something more. Mm-hmm. Initially that was wanting to be a head coach. So I applied for a head coaching position here at Page when the former head coach that I worked for 10 years left. Did not get that position. At that point, I kind of, made the decision. Head coaching was still an option, but at the same time, I wanted to see what the other side of things looked like as the athletic director realm. So I actually left Page. I've been at Page for 15 and a half years, left Page for a year and a half to take my first assistant athletic director job at Thomasville City Schools, and that was a great experience. The athletic director down there was wonderful. That was a man by the name of Steve Bear. Taught me, I would say, a lot of what I know. Obviously, it's a job that you learn on the fly at the same time, but it was just a matter of deciding, did I want to be a head coach? Did I want to be an athletic director? And then, of course, I came back to Page after a year and a half at at Thomasville, and the opportunity opened up 2 years ago for me to be able to take the position, and I jumped on it as quick as I could.
Fun fact, Hagen was supposed to be my math teacher my freshman year. Well, those are all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for being a part of the Captain's Chair, and tune in next time. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank y'all very much.
And remember to dream big in all that you do.